our channel, The Classroom. We are back with a new chapter of class 8 of physics, that is physical quantities and measurement. Now in different books maybe the name will be different for CBSE and ICSE. So I'll just confirm you with the contents of this particular chapter. That is, we'll be discussing about density, relative density, flotation, okay, then the principle of flotation, about the calculation part and some examples of it. Okay, so these are the contents of this particular chapter. So let's get started. And yes, you might be, I said, as please check out that what chapter's name you are having for different books, because different books have different name for these particular chapters. Okay, so just be careful with the contents of it, so you can go through the contents and then have it. Okay, let's get started. Now the first thing that I'm going to discuss with you is about density. What is density? I think we have heard of the two terms mass and volume, right? Now mass and volume are very much related to density. So whenever we talk about the definition of that is density, we say that density of the substance is mass per unit volume. Now mass per unit volume, that means if we write that in your formula, considering D to be the density, we take it as M by V. Okay, where if we know that is the values of mass and volume, we will getting the calculation, or we will be able to find out density. Now the next thing that I want to discuss before I go on for the units, that is, supposing that we have two cases. First one is, suppose we are taking two substances. Okay, now in the first case we are taking the two substances of equal masses, but the volumes are different. As for example, suppose I'm taking cotton, okay, which sometimes we put medicines and all. Okay, I hope you know it. Cotton, and suppose I'm taking a metal, let it be lead. Okay, so as you know, lead has a compact structure because it's a solid. We have already studied that in other chapters, that is of your physics as well as in chemistry. That solid has a very compact structure. So has lead, because lead is a metal. Now next thing is, if we talk about cotton, you know how like fluffy it is, right? So it takes up much more space. So that means it has much more volume than lead. So we can say that different volumes of substances may have same mass. Okay. Another condition can be that the volumes of the two substances are same, but the mass are different. Suppose for example, if you consider that is your iron, okay, and which is a metal, and wood. Okay, now iron and wood both are having the same volume, but they are having different masses. Okay, because you can weigh it and you can understand what is the mass of these two. Okay, wood is much lighter than the iron, you can say. As you know, it's very heavy, right? So this is how there are two type of like conditions that can be put in this particular definition. First one is substances having equal mass but different volumes, and the second one is substances having different mass but same volume. I hope I'm clear with it. Okay, so next coming to the units. Now mass, as you know, we can calculate that in kg, right? SI unit of mass is kg divided by volume. Volume, we know it is going to come in meter cube, right? So the particular units of density comes to be kg per meter cube. This is the particular unit or SI unit of density. Now the question comes, what is its CGS unit? Obviously you will be coming to its CGS unit. Let me rub it and write it again. Suppose we have already written that is D is equal to M by V, that is equal to, suppose I am taking 1 kg by 1 meter cube. So if we convert this kg to gram, okay, we know that mass CGS unit is gram. So that means we will multiply by 1000 to get gram, right? By, now 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter. That means volumes, that is, or you can say the length, okay, the CGS unit of the length will be centimeter. So volume we know is a cube of the sides. Okay, so cube of the side will give you, that means 100 centimeter cube, right? So you know how many zeros are going to come? 6 zeros are going to come. So 3 are going to get cancelled. So we are going to get 1 gram by 1000 centimeter cube. So in that case we can write 1 by 1000 gram per centimeter cube. So that means 1 kg per meter cube is equal to 1 by 1000 gram per centimeter cube. So this is your link up, or you can say relation between the SI unit and the CGS unit. In other words, or you can also write 1 gram per centimeter cube is equal to 1000 kg per meter cube. This also you can write. I hope I'm very clear with this part of unit of the density, right? Next, we are going to come to the another part. We are going to discuss about some of the volumes of particular solids. Now, we will be discussing, as I said, that if we know mass, we know the volume, we can find out the density. Now, as I said that I'll be discussing some of the volumes, like suppose volume of cube, volume of cuboid, volume of sphere, volume of cylinder. You know what are the shapes of these, right? Cube means all the sides will be equal. So that means we can write easily, that is length cube, or we can also write side cube. That means let it be L cube. Okay. Next, cuboid. Cuboid is like that is a 3D of a rectangle. So in that case, that means it's having length, breadth and height. So the formula comes to L into B into H. Okay, length into breadth into height. And then comes a sphere. This is a 3D form of a circle. So we get the sphere formula as 4 by 3 pi r cube. Okay, because it doesn't have any height. It is almost like a circle. Okay, and as for your cylinder, you know how a rod looks like. Okay, it can be open from the two ends, it can be closed from two ends, it can be open at one side, closed at the other, and so on. So cylinder will have pi r square h. R is the radius of the whichever material we are taking. If it is a rod or something, it is the radius of that particular one. Okay, so these are the formula of the volumes or the volume which we use. Okay, and if we know the mass, we can find out. Now mass, we can easily use a common balance for finding out the mass. Okay, so easily we can find out the density. Once we know the mass and the volume of a particular solid or a substance, we can easily find the density. Next, coming to one single point that I wanted to say, that with increase in the temperature, okay, that is the density also changes, okay, of a particular substance. Now you already have heard that with increase in temperature, solids expand, right? And with decrease in temperature, solids contract. Now there is one exception to this, that is with water. Okay, water is also a substance. Here in case of water, it is this particular behavior is known as anomalous expansion of water. Now what is anomalous expansion of water? What happens in this particular this case of water is that from heating, that is water heating from 0 to 4 degrees centigrade. As we know that substance do expand, right? But for case of water, in between this particular temperature 0 to 4 degrees centigrade, it contracts. As we rise the temperature of the water from 0 degrees centigrade to 4 degrees centigrade, the water contracts. Further beyond 4 degrees centigrade, water expands. So this particular temperature in between 0 to 4 degrees centigrade, it shows an abnormal behavior, right? So this particular behavior, or rather this particular phenomenon, is known as anomalous behavior of water. Now I have come up with three types of vessels, as you can see: measuring cylinder, measuring beaker, and the Eureka can. So I'll just be discussing shortly about these particular beakers. Now these are particular cylinders, okay, where the marks are given. Suppose you are taking 10 ml, okay, so all are there in milliliter. Okay, so these waters, wherever the level is, it will give you the marking of the particular volume of the particular liquid. Next, coming about the measuring beaker. Now these are found in particular shapes. Okay, it can be a 200 milliliter, it can be 100, it can be 500 milliliter. So exact volumes are already fixed. Okay, but here you can put any quantity of water. You can take 10, you can take 50, you can take 30 or whatever. I have just marked these in like this. It can be 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 also. Okay, so accordingly. And next comes to our Eureka can. You can see this is actually a glass jar. Okay, and near its mouth there is a small opening. Okay, this opening is known as the spout. Okay, this opening is known as the spout. Now this spout, what happens is, suppose you are pouring a liquid inside the beaker or in the Eureka can. As you are putting the liquid in the Eureka can, it will obviously fill up to the spout, because excess liquid will flow out through the spout. So you will not be able to, that is, fill up above the spout. It will always remain till this position, because if it goes up, the excess fluid will flow out through that particular spout, okay, or through the particular opening, if you see. So the particular opening of the Eureka can is known as spout. Now I have drawn out this particular figure. I'm going to come to it. That is, this particular one is determination of density of an irregular solid. Now you can see here a beaker, okay. So it is half filled with, or like it is filled with a liquid or water, you can take it. And the second beaker, I have immersed one solid over here. Suppose it is of M, the mass of the solid is M, and it is immersed in this particular liquid. Now there is one difference that you can see, that in this particular beaker, you can see, the cylinder, you can see the volume here I have measured is V1. But in this case it is V2. And there is a small rise in temp, that is a level of the water. Okay, so what is the reason that there is a increase in the level of the water? Now we must know about this fact, that while we are immersing the particular this solid inside a liquid, okay, what happens is the volume of this particular water which gets displaced. Okay, why displaced? Because we are putting this inside, so it needs to, obviously this particular solid needs some space where it will fit itself inside the water. So the volume of the water which displaces itself, okay, that is equal to the volume of this particular solid. Okay, so that particular volume has only risen up, so that is the V2. Okay, because whenever a particular solid is taking up a place, either that particular water goes out of the beaker or the cylinder, or maybe there is a rise in the level of the water. Okay, because that is a volume which this particular this solid has taken up in the liquid. So volume of the liquid or water is equal to volume of the solid. Volume of the liquid or the water displaced is equal to the volume of the solid. Now as we know, mass of solid equal to M, right? This particular mass, and the volume of the liquid or volume of the water, or since we are just talking of this volume of the solid here, it will be, we can find out, volume of the solid here will be V2 minus V1. I'm not anymore writing this V2 and what is V1, okay? That's what I started writing, but then I rubbed it and have written volume of solid directly. So this is equal to V2 minus V1. You can also take this as capital V. Okay, so density is equal to, obviously we know mass of the solid by volume of the solid, so it's coming to m by v. So this is how we find out or determine the density of an irregular solid. This is a displacement method. Okay, you can see how this water is getting displaced, right? So this is a displacement method of finding out the density of an irregular solid. Now next, suppose we are having a particular, suppose let's take milk. Okay, so as we are taking milk, suppose we know what is the volume of the milk. Okay, you know already, suppose the volume of milk, suppose it is capital V. Okay, now you are taking this particular milk in a beaker. Okay, now as you are taking that particular milk in a beaker, first before you take that particular milk in a beaker, just measure the mass of the beaker in a common bean balance. Okay, suppose you are getting the mass of beaker as m1. Okay, let me write it nicely, otherwise you will not be able to understand. Beaker is equal to m1. Okay, and after you take the, that is liquid in the, or the milk in the beaker, you get mass of beaker plus milk equal to m2. Okay, so if we subtract this two, hopefully you are going to get the mass of the milk, right? So mass of milk equal to m2 minus m1. Let's take this as capital M here, right? So density comes as mass by volume. So mass of the milk by volume of the milk. This is how we calculate the or determine the density of a particular liquid. What is a density bottle? Let me draw the diagram and show you. Now we have come with the density bottle. Now this particular bottle is specially designed to find out the density of a liquid. It's a glass bottle. Now this glass bottle has a stopper at its end which is also made of glass. So I'm writing glass stopper here, and here particularly this has a particular hole. Okay, now what is this, like how is it looks like? This is a you can see it is a glass bottle, okay, with a glass stopper at its end, and it has a particularly hole in it. Whenever you are filling the liquid and you are putting the stopper, the excess liquid flows out through this particular hole. It will exactly contain the amount, or like whatever it can contain. Okay, so this gives a density of the particular liquid. Now this is a determination of density of a liquid using the density bottle. This particular formula you are going to use in any particular sum that will be provided to you. Okay, now suppose you are given a particular liquid, water and a bottle. Okay, that is a density bottle. Now suppose the mass of the density bottle is m1, and the mass that is, obviously you know how to like measure it in a common bean balance. Okay, then you are putting the water in that particular density bottle, that is m2. Now remember one thing, that the mass of the water in the density bottle will give you the volume of the liquid. Mass of the that is water in the density bottle will give you the volume of the liquid. That is very important criteria. Please don't miss out, and whenever you have somewhere to write, please write it down. Next, mass of the bottle when it is filled with the liquid, given liquid, that is m3. Now how will you get the mass of the water? It is, that means this bottle is filled with water and you have the mass of the empty bottle. So if you subtract this 2, you will get the mass of the water. Next, that means m2 minus m1. Secondly, you are having the bottle filled with the liquid. You are having the mass of it as m3, and you already know the mass of the empty bottle, that is m1. So mass of the liquid is m3 minus m1. Now as I said, mass of the water in the density bottle will be equal to the volume of the liquid. So considering that, that means D is, that is density of the liquid, is equal to mass by volume, that is mass of the liquid by volume of the liquid. Mass of the liquid we have already got as M3 minus M1. So I am writing M3 minus M1 divided by M2 minus M1, which is the mass of the water. Because we know that mass of the water in the density bottle is equal to the volume of the liquid. That is why we are getting this particular that is formula. We are going to use this particular formula for like calculation purposes, and please remember that you can be given this particular determination also, determination of density. Show the determination of density of liquid using density bottle. You have to do this particular method. You don't have to take any particular values, just have to use M1, M2, M3 and V to calculate all this. Okay, now we have come, as I said, I will be coming up with an example. Mass of an empty bottle is given 30 gram. Okay, and mass of a bottle filled with water is given 60 gram. So what is the mass of the water? 60 minus 30, that is 30 gram, right? Next, mass of the bottle filled with liquid is 54 gram. So what is the mass of the liquid then? Obviously 54 minus 30, that is 24 gram. Now we already know that mass of the water in the density bottle will give you the volume of the liquid. That means 30 gram, that is the mass of the water, which is 30 gram. That is going to be 30 centimeter cube, that is the volume of the liquid. So now just calculate the density of the liquid. That is the mass of the liquid by volume of the liquid. The mass of the liquid we have got it as 24 gram, and density, that is for calculating density we need the volume obviously, which we are getting from the mass of the water, which is 30 centimeter cube. So 24 by 30 we are getting 0.8 gram per centimeter cube. 24 it was gram and 30 it was centimeter cube. So we are getting 0.8 centimeter gram per centimeter cube. Now one more information about density of water is, it is 1 gram per centimeter cube. Okay, please, whenever we are using the that is density of water, please use this 1 gram per centimeter cube. Next, coming about relative density. Now, what is the definition of relative density? Relative density is the ratio of the density of the substance to the density of the water, or in other words you can also say that mass of the volume of any substance to the mass of same amount of volume of water. Okay, so this is how we calculate. In simple words you can simply say that is RD, that is relative density, is equal to density of substance by density of water. Now here you can see that both are having the densities. So that means obviously you can say that the units will be same, right? Either it will be kg meter per meter cube or gram per centimeter cube. Any one of them will be used in both the cases, right? So these units will be getting cancelled. As per RD, that is relative density, does not have any units of its own. Okay, because it is a ratio, so it will not have any units. Next, if we discuss about the three states of matter, that is solid, liquid and gas. Okay, for each of the case we can say that, since as you know solid has a very compact state, right, than liquid and gaseous state. Liquids particles are much far apart, and for gaseous state it is almost wide apart and there is no force of attraction in between them. So you know how these molecules are arranged in case of these three states of matter. Accordingly, density is also more in case of solids, less in case of liquids and least in case of gases. Okay, it depends on the compactness of the particular states of matter. Okay, that is why iron or metals have more density than liquid than gas. So this was the particular theory around states of matter. Another thing that I would like to share is that why do a particular substance sink or float? It depends on one condition, that is the density. If suppose we are taking a nail which is made of iron, I hope you know that iron has more density than the water. So whenever you put the iron or a nail pin, you will see it just sinks down, right? Why? Just the reason is the density of the iron or the metal is much more than the density of the water. Therefore, it sinks down. Okay? And suppose for a wood, you will see that woods usually floats on the water, right? Over the water. Why? The reason is again same thing, that whenever the density of the liquid or the water is more than that of the substance, it will float. The substance will float. That is why the wood floats. Because why? The reason is because the density of the wood is less than the density of the water. So it floats. So obviously it depends on the density. If the density of the substance is more, okay, so that time it sinks. If the density of the substance is less, it will float. So this float or the sink matter totally completely depends on the density. Okay, next coming to the flotation, principle of flotation. Now coming to the principle of flotation, we have two forces acting on the body which is immersed in a liquid or in water, whatever you say. Now the first force which we talk about is the weight. As you know, weight is always acting downwards, so it always has a tendency to sink the body. Okay. The second force is the buoyant force or the upthrust. Any of these you can add. This upthrust or the buoyant force actually is equal to the weight of the liquid that the body has displaced. Okay, so it has a tendency to make the body float in the water or in the liquid. If the buoyant force or the upthrust is greater than the weight of the body, obviously it will make the body float in the liquid. So these are the two types of forces that is acting in the body which is immersed in the liquid. Now we are going to come to the different types of flotation. Now the first case, that is when the weight of the body is greater than the FB, that is the buoyant force, okay, or the upthrust. Now you must know one thing, that is the weight always acts from the middle portion of the body. Okay, whatever type of solid you are taking, okay, always acts from the middle portion of the body. And here, since the whole body is inside the water, obviously from the middle portion only the FB will be acting upwards. Okay, weight is acting downwards, FB is acting upwards. Now the resultant force, obviously I'm just taking it as RF, will be equal to W minus FB, right? Since because weight is more than FB, therefore what will happen to the body? Obviously it will sink below the water or the liquid. Okay, it will just sink down. And as a result, you can understand when does a body sink? Only when the density of the body is greater than the density of the liquid. Okay, that means density of the body is greater than the density of the liquid. Okay, so this is the particular first case, when the weight of the body is greater than the buoyant force. Next, case 2. Now coming to the second case, that is when W is equal to FB, that is the weight of the body is equal to the buoyant force or the upthrust. Now in this case, the weight and the that is a buoyant force, both are equal, so the resultant force becomes, that is RF becomes W minus FB, that is equal to 0. Okay, because both of these are same. Okay, the quantity is same, so obviously the resultant force becomes 0. And the apparent weight also of that, or the apparent weight of the body also becomes 0. Now next thing is, what happens to the body? Does it sink or does it floats, or what happens? It just floats in the level of the water. You can see that none of the portion of the body is above the water. It just floats on the surface of the water. Okay, and in this case we will find one thing, that is considering this to be the volume of the solid. Okay, and this particular Vs which I have written, that is the part of the body which is immersed inside the liquid, that is which can give you the volume of the liquid as if. Okay, so we can say both of them are equal, because since it is inside the water, so that means volume of the solid is equal to volume of the solid which is immersed inside the liquid. Next, we have this condition, W is equal to FB, right? So as we have this condition, I'm just rubbing off this part right now. W we know is the weight. Weight means what? We have already studied this in the first chapter. Means, or rather not in the first chapter, it was there in, you will get in the higher classes. Mass into, that is your gravitational force, G. M into G. Okay, gravitational or acceleration due to gravity. So as you know, this mass is what? Density into volume, right? So if we consider this weight, which is of the body, so we will be getting density of the solid, let me consider this as ds, into volume as v, which I have considered, into acceleration due to gravity. That is equal to, Fb is the force which is acting on the body, right, the upward force. So there the volume of the liquid will be what? Vs, because it is a part of the, that is a volume of the solid which is immersed inside the liquid. So this is the volume of the liquid into dl, that is the density of the liquid, into g, acceleration due to gravity. Acceleration due to gravity is always same everywhere. So g can cancel out, right? And we have already seen that these two volumes are same. Volume of the solid and the volume of the solid which is inside or immersed inside the liquid. So obviously we can write ds into v, that is equal to v into dl. So v can cancel, right, since they both are same. So ds is equal to dl. So from here you can see that density of the solid or this particular body which you have taken is equal to density of the liquid. Okay, so from this we are getting it. This was a conclusion. Next, coming to the case 3. Next, coming to the third case, that is when W is less than Fb. Weight is less than the upthrust. Now, I'll just clear one thing. Before I have started these 3 cases, I have told you that the first case, that here from this particular point, that is from the middle of the body, weight always acts. Weight always acts from the middle portion of the body. And from where does this upthrust acts? Upthrust always acts from the part of the body, from the middle part of the body which is inside the liquid. So here which part is inside the liquid? This part is inside the liquid. And this part, when this part is inside the liquid, which is the middle portion of this particular part which is inside the liquid? This one. That is why I have marked this point from where upthrust acts. It is not from the whole body that the upthrust is going to act. It is from the point or the middle point of the body which is inside the liquid. Okay, please remember this thing. Weight wherever you keep of the body always acts from the middle portion of the body, and for upthrust it always acts from the particular point which is immersed inside the liquid. Okay, that is from the middle portion of the body which is immersed inside the liquid, only from that part. Okay, so this is what is Fb from in this case. And in this case, what happens is, since the upthrust is more than the weight, this part of the body, or partially the body floats above the water. And which portion remains inside the water? The one whose weight is equal to the buoyant force. Okay, now in this case, we have one more thing to say, that the density of the body is less than the density of the liquid. Okay, you need to say one thing, that the density of the body is less than the density of the liquid. Okay, I have written down the law of flotation here. As you can see, weight of the floating body is equal to the weight of the liquid displaced by its immersed part. In other words, you can see when a body is floating, the weight of the liquid displaced by the immersed part of the body is equal to the total weight of the body. Okay, the one which is immersed in the body. Okay, so the part of the body which is immersed in the liquid, okay, the amount of the liquid which has been replaced, okay, by the particular body is that weight is equal to the total weight of the body. So this is a particular definition of the law of flotation, and in this case we can say that the apparent weight of the body is equal to 0. Now next I am going to come up with some examples. As for example, for the icebergs, which is very important. As you know, for icebergs, density of ice is less than the density of the water. So you will see the maximum portion of the ice is inside the water. Okay, and very small amount of portion you can see floating above the water. If I make the difference between a nail, iron nail and an iron ship, okay, why does a nail sinks and why does not a iron ship sinks? So reason is, iron nail is a compact structure, okay, it is a solid metal structure, and we have already discussed that the iron nail have greater density than of the water. So obviously it will sink down. But for a ship made of iron, it has hollow space in between them, filled with air. So obviously that has much less density than that of the water, sea water rather. In that case, obviously it will float. So this is the difference between the nail, that is the iron nail, and the iron ship. So there are many more examples. I have discussed two with you. You can read out many more examples that will be given in your textbook which you are using. And yes, definitely please solve the sums for the densities whenever particular mass or volume is given. I have already shown you some of the sums regarding how to calculate the density of a liquid using a density bottle. So these are the important part of the chapter. So this was all about this particular chapter, which included density, relative density, your flotation, the principles, and the three different types or the cases of flotation and so on. Okay, so with this we come to the end of the chapter. If you are having any doubt, please comment, and if it is like you don't have any problem in it, you have liked the chapter, please do like, comment, and do subscribe. And please press the bell icon so that next time whenever we are having other chapters, you can get a notification of it. Thank you. Have a good day.